The only witness who never told a lie. The air in that stale, wood-paneled office was thick with the smell of old paper. And betrayal. My Uncle Silas sat across from me, looking like a man who had already won. He tossed a heavy folder onto the desk, the thud echoing through the quiet room. "Sam," he said, his voice dripping with that fake, "I'm doing this for your own good," pity. "You're 24. You're erratic. You've got no business running the family ranch. This appraisal proves it's worth more as a resort than a legacy." He had witnesses. He had financial logs that made it look like I'd been draining the estate accounts for months. The lawyer looked at me, waiting, hoping I'd just sign the papers and walk away. I didn't say a word. I just reached into my pocket and pulled out my dad's old, beat-up tablet. Silas scoffed. "What's that, a game? Give it up, kid. It's over." "Actually," I whispered, my voice finally finding its edge, "it's a lesson. Dad always said you have to prepare for the storm, even when the sun is shining." I hit play. The screen flickered to life. There was my father, sitting in his favorite recliner just 3 days before the heart attack took him. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Hey, Sam," he said, smiling that lopsided grin. "If you're watching this, it means Silas finally made his move, didn't he?" Silas froze. His face went from smug to a ghostly, sickly white. "Now, Silas," my dad's voice filled the room, sounding as alive as ever. "I knew you were cooking the books since 1998. I kept the real ledgers hidden in the floorboard of the tool shed. I didn't call the cops back then, because you're my brother. But I knew you'd eventually try to squeeze Sam." Dad leaned closer to the lens. "Mr. Henderson, I'm sure you're the lawyer in the room. Inside that tool shed, you'll find the signature Silas forged 5 years ago, trying to sell the back 40. The silence that followed was deafening. Silas tried to speak, but the words just died in his throat. I stood up, tucked the tablet under my arm, and looked my uncle dead in the eye. "The ranch stays with me," I said. "And Silas, you have exactly 10 minutes to get off my property before I call the sheriff." As I walked out into the Texas sun, I could almost feel a hand on my shoulder. "Thanks, Dad," I whispered. "I heard you."